The gentleman that we're speaking with, David, obviously, in that he is a deputy with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, and he is a helicopter pilot. He's also a drummer, and was signed with Regency Records back in the 90s with a band called Arsenal, which I ended up playing with for 10 years myself. Anyways, and we'll move past that and we'll get into what you're doing now, which is awesome. You fly freaking helicopters.
Yes. Yep. I started flying helicopters probably about 15 or 18 years ago. Kind of took that up after effects of 9/11 ended my other flying career.
Which was?
Oh, actually, I flew for a regional airline. I was a captain for a regional airline for a while, and I started that after I left the music industry, and then didn't know what to do with myself. So somebody said, "Hey, why don't we try flying small airplanes?" And then one thing led to another, and the more I did it, the more I wanted to do it, the more I liked it, the more expensive it got. And somebody said, "Why don't you try getting paid?" I was like, "Hey, never thought about that." Figure this, a few years later, poof, here I am.
Mm-hmm. And you get to hunt people down from the
Yeah,
air.
yeah. We do quite a bit of hunting. It's unfortunately, I mean, it's bad for the world, but yeah, business is good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, well, actually, they said, "Do you hunt?" And I said, "Yes, I do. I hunt humans." And of course, they're like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? You can't hunt humans." And it's like, well, we don't slaughter them. We just take them to jail. But that's another story.
Right, but it is fun when you get to watch the attack dogs do their business on people.
Oh yeah, my God. It's canines. We work hand in hand with the canines. It's a little bit of love-hate relationship. We work together quite well with them. There's a lot of competition. We like to get the catch. We like to be the reason for the catch, and so do they.
Mm-hmm.
Goal is to get the bad guy, and so
Right.
we work quite a bit to make sure that happens in a safe, prudent manner. Hopefully, the bad guy gives up before he becomes a Scooby snack.
Yeah, I've seen a couple. I'm sure it doesn't compare anywhere near because this is in training, but I've seen some training videos of gentlemen taking different breeds of dog and taking the full brunt of their attack, and grading them based on amount of impact, how hard they hit you, and then crushing power they have on your arm. And man,
Well,
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want it.
I mean, these guys that we work with, I mean, they're young men, they're strapping young lads. It's definitely a young man's game. I mean, I would pale in comparison to their physical capability now, but those guys are absolutely amazing. The dogs are amazing. What the dog can be trained to do, how they get the job done, and how they work together as a team
Mhm.
to get a common goal accomplished. But let me tell you, those dogs are absolute powerhouses. And if I ever found myself facing the wrong end of the dog, I would absolutely show him my hands before I got that hit. That dog, think about an 85-pound thing hitting you at 30 miles an hour, and it's connected to a chainsaw. So, I would definitely think twice if I was the bad guy wanting to confront the dog. It's not gonna, if you're in that type of confrontation, it's not gonna go well for you.
Right.
And
Yeah.
well, yeah, fur missile. And I'm sure you made mention of the videos, and like you see the dog in full gallop and then launch from 15, 20 feet away and then hit the guy and take him right off his feet.
Hmm.
Uh, our guys train in bite suits. I mean, that's how they work with the dog and teach them different tactics. But when you see the guys coming out of training with puncture marks through the bite suit, that's significant. I mean,
Hmm.
I after me.
Yeah, I'm glad I'll never be in myself or find myself in the position of having to take one of those impacts.
No, well, I mean,
I
you
mean,
know,
hopefully, I mean, obviously something would be really seriously awry if that took place, but
for a conversation, Brian, that if you ever find yourself down here
uh,
visiting, then please come on by and I can maybe help arrange a trip in the bite suit.
oh my God. And I can just imagine because I've got a bar of titanium that runs from my wrist all the way past this elbow up to here, right?
Yeah.
And luckily it allows me to still open my arm. But can you imagine if a dog got a hold of this arm and just, oh my gosh.
No, they're absolutely incredible at what they do. I
Hmm.
know the deepest respect goes out to the handlers, the dogs themselves. what they can get done, how they get it done. It's just absolutely amazing to watch these dogs work, and not even from a bite aspect.
Mhm.
A few years ago, I had a stint with Florida Fish and Wildlife as a pilot for them, and their dogs that the FWC uses, there are no bite dogs anywhere in the agency. They're all resource protection, and they have dogs that can sniff out certain types of meats, fish, poultry, um, drugs, weapons, even a gun that hasn't been used in several hours or even days. The dog can actually go track the weapon, and they call it an item or an article search. And it's really fascinating to watch how these animals do their job.
Yeah, because I've heard that some, I mean, I know we're going way outside of what you do, but this is an interesting topic and you seem to know quite a bit about it, which is awesome. But I've heard that some of them are trained so well with their sense of smell that, you know, when working with the fish and wildlife, that they can tell whether it's fish that they're going after, what type of fish they're going after. So
Yes.
because there are certain breeds you're not allowed to fish at certain times, yeah, and they can smell that specific type of fish and alert.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the sniffer on the dog, and I mean, it is. There's no comparison between a human snout and a dog snout, and
Right.
what the dog can actually decipher with its nose. And you're absolutely right. They can track turkey, deer, different form, like you said, different varieties of fish, whether it's a grouper or redfish or whatever. And
Mhm.
it's amazing to watch those animals work. It really is. And they put them on a boat. They'll turn the dog loose on a vessel, and it'll go right to a compartment. And all right, well, let's open up the compartment. And they open up the compartment and find out that there's all 100 pounds of some type of illegal catch in there. And well, it's going to be a
Mhm.
bad. But
Yeah.
yeah, amazing how they work.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So now, but you fly choppers.
I do. I do. It's a lot of fun. And it's been a blast. It really has. I've had a good run, been a good career. Great choice. A lot of, there's a lot of days that a lot of folks go to work and they might have a boring day. I can honestly say there's very few of my days are boring.
I can
If
imagine.
if anything, some of them it's like, all right, can we just stop already? Because I've had enough. But the flying aspect is wonderful. It really is. Putting something that I've developed a love for aviation, and then getting into law enforcement post airline career, and having the thrill of the catch as well as the thrill of the flying is
Mhm.
just a great marriage of skill. And it's been a lot of fun, very rewarding.
Have you found yourself do you find yourself getting caught up in the moment at all and have to be careful about yourself being on an open line or anything like that?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
everything recorded. So we are cognizant of that fact. We try not to have that faux pas type thing where it shows up in court and we're saying something that
Mhm.
shouldn't be.
Right.
Um,
Something derogatory. Right.
to hunt, track, catch mode, it is very coordinated. It's very professional.
Mhm.
We, sometimes if we have an extended search and the person's been very elusive, and then we finally get them, we get excited about the catch itself, and we kind of share some of that back and forth. But the tapes are never edited; they can't be. They're evidence, and
Right.
they get to our evidence program, and then they get used in court however the attorneys see fit. But I would say that no crew that I'm aware of that I've ever worked with has had anything like that occur, and hopefully we won't have that. We try to keep it professional.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's a great answer. Thanks. I
Are
appreciate that.
you mostly going after people using thermal?
Great question. It just depends on what we're looking for. It depends on the time of day or the night. Um, we do use a technology called forward-looking infrared, or FLIR for short, an acronym. FLIR is a brand as well as a technology. So there's several different companies that out there that offer FLIR technology, as well as the company itself called FLIR. There's L3 Communications. They offer something. There's one called Traca. There's also FLIR Corporation itself, and it's basically an infrared spectrum imager. So it builds an image on our screen based on heat dissipation. So everything around us, everything we touch, see, smell, sit on, stand next to, either generates heat or dissipates heat at a different rate. And then that gizmo allows us to see something based on those dissipation rates. So it builds an image. So when the bad guy is hiding on the inside of a shed and his heat silhouette is transmitted through the aluminum, hey, head 30 yards to your right, and we got an image in there. I got a hot spot, not sure about its origin, but there's a hot spot against that wall, could be human. And the dog goes to work and bad guy gets caught.
See, that's why I used to love live PD.
we've had well, we were actually Pasco was actually signed up to live PD for quite some time, and I've had lots of folks ask me, "Oh my God, you know Shemp?" Oh yeah, of course I know Shemp. I know his handler very well. We fly with him. We put the dogs in the helicopters. We definitely desensitize the dog to the machinery. So if there's a need for deployment, that would be possible if the need ever arose. But yeah, live PD was great while it lasted. And one of the funniest things that I remember was going on a call. I don't even remember what the call was, but on our FLIR, we also use a laser. And it's basically kind of, it allows the pilot to see what the tactical flight officer or the FLIR operator is looking at without looking at the screen. So while I have on night vision goggles, I can see the infrared laser track across whatever it is we're looking for. So on live PD, when they were using infrared cameras, night vision cameras to look at the scene, you'd see a red laser go scan across the top of a house or across a set of cars or something like that. And if you didn't know what it was, you might think there was a weapon being pointed at the item. And in fact, it was actually the FLIR scanning the device. But several times on live PD, and it's like, holy crap, that's the TFO's laser pointing at the object. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, and do they also have, with the laser system, you can tag people, right?
You can't necessarily tag the person. And now I'm not going to say that technology doesn't exist, but we don't have military grade. They're not military grade weapon systems. They're used in a law enforcement realm. So law enforcement realm, it's kind of like hunt and produce. So we have mapping. So if I have the mapping system is married to the FLIR. And then if I see an article get dropped, like say a gun, a backpack, while somebody's on foot or on a motorcycle or in a car throwing things out the window,
we can GPS locate it, right?
We can like georeference the item and go back and send people after it later on. We use that actually with a bank robbery. We found the person digging, hiding the money, and of course they didn't know they were being watched, and we just tagged the location. And once we made the arrest, they're like, well, I'll never tell you where the money is. Well, you don't need to. So we just go back and collect the evidence, and everybody goes to jail, and the guy gets his money back. So life is good.
What a rewarding job.
It's fun, man. It really is. I mean, playing guitar, singing, playing in bands, playing drums, being out. There is no greater thrill than having people tune into your music, be part of your music, listen to who you are, tune into what you're doing and your message, whatever it may be. But I gotta say, with the flying, I've either met or exceeded that. It's playing live. There's no rush like playing live. Well, when you climb into that helicopter, strap it on for the day's business, there's also no feeling that can match that as well. So I got lucky enough to be able to find something that can still feed the need that playing drums did for me for many, many years. And that's been really a lack of a better way of saying, really tie those things together and still be able to have that rush, have that thrill, as well as get something useful done with what I've done with those two skills.
So while for you it's thrilling and there's a rush, what's your wife think about you flying a helicopter and finding criminals?
Oh, she loves it. As a matter of fact, my wife's a
Oh,
pilot. So, you know, a lot of people tease me, like my house, the room that we're in right now, I know you probably can't see it, but it's my drum room. It's where I keep my acoustic, now electrified drum kit and any Arsenal memorabilia, as long as, and hand in hand with some of the um, other things that I've collected over the years, flying wise. But everything in my house is some kind of airplane junk. For example, table is the horizontal stabilizer off of an OH-58 helicopter. And I didn't bring it home one day and say, "Oh, honey, look what we made, and this is it." She's like, "Holy crap, that would be a great coffee table." You know, it's, and guys always ask me, like, "Man, where did you find her?" Easy, at the airport. If you want the girl that wants airplanes, go look at the airport. That would be where you'll find her. Don't go to the bowling alley, because there you'll find a chick that likes bowling.
now
Or
if you're
other
in your
things.
drum, if you're in your drum room, could we see your drums?
Well, I suppose you
What,
can.
your kit?
So it's an old school Tama kit that has Roland electric cymbals, a 2-box brain that I feed into. Well, I did feed into my MacBook Pro, and then I use Logic, and then right behind the iPad that I'm broadcasting on is a monitor that I use for the mixer, as well as a set of mixed down speakers, and I have a set of PA speakers in the room as well if I decided to play semi-acoustically.
And your wife's okay with that too?
Oh, it was her idea. Yeah. You know, and that's the beauty of this, is like I've got somebody in my life that not only is fun to be around, understands what I want to do, but actually likes being part of it as well. So I met her at the airport. She was a student pilot. Long story short, I taught her how to fly. She has her own pilot's license, and many times she's taken her girlfriends out flying or whatever. And the great part about it is having somebody tied into my life that, like, "Hey, listen, I got to go do this, and I'm going to be gone 2 days." Instead, "Oh no, you're not going to spend any time with me." It's like, "Hey, great. Hey, when you're there, can you take some pictures of that cool place you're going to be, or let me see the helicopter you're flying or the airplane?" And having that type of discussion, what a rewarding thing for me to be able to have somebody to tie into that with. So when I go out and go to work, you know, a somber side of this life is every month of this year, so far, we have buried one law enforcement officer from the Tampa Bay area, killed in the line of duty for various reasons. So there's absolutely no denying that what we do is dangerous. When I do go to work, my office contains weapons. My office has a great view, but it also contains a weapon or several weapons, depending on what the particular operation is that we're working on or doing. So there is some bit of, "Hey, be safe today. Hey, just thinking about you. I hope everything went smoothly today during that whatever it is you're involved in." And, you know, I'm isolated from some of what the guys do on the ground because I don't work the road any longer. But there was a time when I did, and to learn law enforcement. And it was a fun, rewarding thing there too. But I'm happy to have the aspect that I'm involved in now, and having her understand its origin, where it comes from, and what I need to do to get the job done.
Good gift.
And it's fun. You know, and it works. You know, the best
Yeah.
news for her in our relationship, it works. Some folks, it doesn't work. Unfortunately, the divorce rate is high amongst law enforcement individuals for a myriad of reasons.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot of things that go on that hey man, whether you're wearing a uniform or not, at the end of the day, we're all still human.
Right.
So some folks have a hard time dealing with the realities of the job. We in a I don't know, like if you're looking at the big picture item, you see the worst in people continuously. And that's another tie, Brian, why I want to bring it back to Jason, is the ability to also have a thing in life where I can see the good in people, and that's aviation. aviation in itself, I do a lot of flying on the side. I do a lot of teaching on the side. I do some corporate stuff on the side. And that allows me to understand and still realize that there are good people in the world.
Mhm.
And that 10% of the people are causing 90% of the problems, but that 90% of the people are still good people. And
Right.
some hard to get decipher that or disseminate that and pull away from it. And if you're immersed in it at a daily rate, like a lot of the ground guys are. And hopefully we have a thing at work, and it goes like this. It's actually put out by the agency, and it says it's okay to not be okay, but it is not okay to stay that way.
Right.
So mental health aspect of all of us is vitally important. We're seeing an uptick in mental health issues. Maybe it's fueled by drugs, but I don't know. I'm not.
Let me interject here.
Yeah.
Do you think that could also be because of the quantity of people just keeps growing in the country and in each state? I mean, you're going to get the bad element is going to keep growing as well, and then they're going to become bolder and bolder because the pickings are more obvious. You know what I mean?
Anytime you have a growing population, if we all lived on 5 acres in Montana, we would never see our neighbors. Therefore, there would be no problems.
Right.
But when you have a condensed populace, you're absolutely going to have more problems due to that. That's why rural PDs or rural law enforcement entities, they have problems too. But when you mix an urban element of it together, and I know we've all seen recently the riots and things that are going on like that, a mob mentality, and unfortunate things that have happened that none of us really have any control over, but we do have to either respond or react to. And watching these things occur, being part of these things, I do think it's absolutely population driven. Sure.
Yeah, and I got to imagine that it makes it tough on you when you have, I mean, because you're doing an honorary job, or an honorable job, I should say, a very honorable job that deserves an unmeasurable amount of respect, in my opinion. And and I'll proclaim that when I was younger, I wanted to be a police officer. That was my desire. That's what I wanted to do. But
have had that thought at some point in our lives. It's like, oh, I want to be a cop. Oh, I want to be a doctor. Oh, I want to be an astronaut. And some guys do all of it. So I mean,
no, I really, really wanted to do it, but no, it's my lungs kept me from doing it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't. My bronchial issues living in Florida killed me pretty much.
Oh yeah. You know how somebody's about to turn on a humid switch here real soon. I think we're going to get one more good nice weekend, and then it's going to be blistering for the next 5 months.
It's going to be very oppressive.
The air, prayer.
But yeah, you were talking about people on the job. I mean, it really is. It's a daily stress thing. And a lot of people don't have the psychological aptitude or the psychological support either at home or in their lives to be able to handle what their brain is taking in every single day. And
go ahead.
I was going to say, and I would imagine it could be a lot for people if they don't have that positive thing.
Everybody's different. We process differently. We all have joy differently. We all have grief differently. We all process good information, bad information. We all do it at different rates and different ways. We never can arrive at the same thing at the same time, just because we're all individuals. But if you do have any issues, if someone did have any problems, and it doesn't matter about law enforcement, it's any aspect. Any job can be stressful. It's a job. How your coping mechanism. Maybe you're maybe you are a doctor or a surgeon or whatever the case may be, and that is a lot of stress. But your joy is golfing, and that is the thing that gets you out and allows you to have the release that you need to get your mind centered so that you can go back and do your job effectively. I think it's vitally important that anybody, regardless of career choice or whatever, has something outside of that entity that they can enjoy or tie into. And I go to work and I fly, but when I get home, I go fly. And it's a different type of flying. So it's a different type of flying. So that's my release. That's my fun.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because, I make a lot of social networking posts, and some of them I'm sure you agree with, some you don't. But
That's
one
okay.
of the right, which is what makes us adults, right?
Yep.
But one of the things that I had said, and I don't think a whole lot of people got what I was trying to say, but you just touched on it. Everybody has to have something that they do to take their mind off the stresses of their daily grind, whether it's, pushing t-shirts at the local mall or, having to put somebody down with 3 rounds through the chest. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
God
I
forbid you should have to do that, but
yeah. I mean,
uh,
we've had a couple things go sideways here in the last couple of weeks that I don't think any. I've known many deputies, officers, and whatnot have been involved in on the job uh, shootings, and I don't think anybody goes to work with the mindset of I'm going to kill somebody today.
right. God
Nobody
forbid
wants.
if they would.
No, nobody wants to wear that badge. I mean,
Right, right.
I hope I never ever have to draw a weapon and use it.
Mhm.
That would be the last thing in the world I would want to do. However, we've also come to the mindset we live in a violent world, we live in a violent place, and if the need arises, I shall do it to protect the Constitution of the United States as well as the Constitution of the state and protect the innocents that I was hired to protect.
Right.
Um, Sometimes that comes at a high price, um, but you also have to have a mindset of being willing to do that.
Mhm.
Um, no, I'm not a proponent of violence, but I absolutely, why do we have peace? Because you have peaceful men that are willing to do extreme violence to keep it that way.
Mhm.
And that that may not ring very well with some folks. And I hope I never have to be violent. I don't want to be violent. Um, the good news is, while I'm flying the helicopter, I don't have to.
Right.
Um, and we do have a fur missile that will be happy to take care of the majority of that violence if you so choose for it to go that direction. But I don't know anybody that's ever got up in the morning and said, "Hey, man, I want to go shoot somebody today."
Right.
Wow, that would suck.
Yeah, I can't imagine that kind of a mindset. I mean, there are people that do have that mindset. Thank God we don't know any.
Yep,
But you know, I, but the reason why I bring up the hobbies is because you have to have that, but everybody's different, so everybody's hobbies are different. So you might have a guy that's into racing cars,
absolutely.
or somebody that's into really buying nice suits. I mean, it could be anything, right? That's your thing that you're into. What
Cigars.
oh, I love cigars. Don't get me started back into that.
I knew that.
But but yeah, a cigar and a nice brandy or a nice cognac. Yeah, I'm down. But my thing is where I have a problem is that when society starts telling people what they can and can't do for their hobby, which mine is going to the shooting range and putting little pieces of metal 100 yards away through a piece of paper and try to get it into a hole that small. And
Well,
if I can do that, I get a self accomplishment, right? And I
yeah.
feel relieved. It relieves my stress. I'm happy. But you have people telling me I can't do that. That's not cool.
Well, we have there's always going to be the ebb and flow of legislature. There's going to be the ebb and flow of lawmakers, how they arrive at what they're going to arrive at, and some of it we have control over via voting. Some of it we have no control over.
Mhm.
Um, Folks a long time ago decided that we were going to have a right in this country to bear arms, to keep and bear arms. And obviously, we're in a time where there's some of that's a bit of a controversy, and I'm sure it will be for quite some time to come. I think you and I are fairly parallel in our thought process in this, and not. I don't want to tell you that thou shalt not have guns. There are definitely people in this world that do not need to have a gun.
I'll agree
Um,
with you.
but there again, though, too, the violence that occurs and has occurred isn't. I should, and again, I'm not a statistician, and I hope I don't. If you had any negative comments, if this got actually put in your interview or the podcast, that I'm not. I don't hope that anybody. I don't ever want anybody to die from gun violence
Right.
ever. But if I want an AR-15 or a M4 or a whatever type of new handgun that just really makes me happy, and I'm a law-abiding citizen, buying it legally and making the proper documentation with the proper background check, and I have purchased a weapon legally, I hope that we can always have that right to do as we wish.
Mhm.
We've all enjoyed that thus far, and I hope that the law-abiding citizen will not be infringed upon to be different from that level. I always hope that we have that right.
Mhm.
We live in a time where there's different opinion now. There's some strong cases being made by some folks that they may have something to say about it in years to come. I hope that is not the case, or at least I hope that's not the case in my lifetime.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I've been noticing a lot of turmoil being caused by stories being re-released about legislation going on or things of that nature, um, where it seems to be trying to re-stir the pot of stuff that's already been settled. And one of those in particular that drives me crazy is everybody on about background checks. They're going to start background check. I'm sorry, they've been doing it for I don't know how long already. I mean, when I bought my first firearm in Florida, what, almost 40 years ago, there
Yeah,
was a background check,
yeah.
you know?
I, I don't know if you remember this, Brian, but I mean, back in the day when you were here, I mean, I worked at a pawn shop, and we had hundreds of guns in the pawn shop. And that was part of our job, was to either buy and sell guitars, buy and sell drums, buy and sell jewelry, buy and sell guns. And it came with a background check that was administered by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. It is still administered today. Whatever criteria they use to check, I don't know. I'm not part of FDLE.
Hmm.
How it is something that any legal purchaser has to go through, and for whatever fee that they charge, and we all go through it.
Hmm.
I badge, and I carry a card that says I'm a law enforcement officer in the state of Florida under Chapter 943. Good for me. But when I go buy a gun, I still have to have a background check,
Hmm.
and no exceptions. There's no exemptions to that I know of, and I don't care. That's okay with me.
Right.
I'll
That's the law.
Yeah, it's the law. That's what we're supposed to do. And I don't care. I'll happily do the background check. It should be that way.
Hmm. And if you got nothing to hide, you got nothing to worry about, is the way I see it.
That's exactly right. And we, again, gun violence is a hot button topic that we're going to face for a long, long time. And it's sad and it's unfortunate that the loss of life has occurred because of someone's mental
Hmm.
instability. I would never ever wish that on anyone. I've seen it firsthand. I've been on scene where there's people shot, people dead due to gun violence, and I can't imagine what a family has to go through.
Hmm.
Um, they get that phone call. Uh, I hope I never get a phone call in regard to that. But people are people, and
Hmm.
going to do things, and I just hope that we get to continue to enjoy our Second Amendment right for many, many years.
So, just out of curiosity, what's your personal carry?
It depends. um, it depends on what I'm doing and where I'm going. I have two XDS 45s, Springfields. I also keep the Ruger, the little LCP2. I keep that's basically the pocket gun, and I also carry an M4.
Okay. Jason has a 357. I'm trying to get him to speak up. Jason, tell
Oh no, I'm. This is interesting.
mhm. So what do you have? What do you
Yeah, I have a Ruger 40 cal actually,
Oh, nice.
a
Yeah.
revolver that I'm very inefficient with. Um, it's very difficult for me to shoot that, and I have a CZ 9 mil that's much louder, but is much more. I'm able to control it.
Yeah. I mean, CZ has been. I remember selling those at the pawn shop. When they first started coming over from the Eastern Bloc nations, they were kind of like, ugh, but the quality's changed a lot. People have really gravitated toward them. A great little gun, sure.
yeah, and they just bought Colt firearms.
Well, there you go. It's like I remember there was a couple of, if I'm not mistaken, Brian, there was a couple of posts about that on your Facebook page at some point, but
Yeah, it seems like a conflict of interest to me. I mean, when you got a government telling you, I don't want to get into politics too deep. I try to stay away from that, but we're already touching that just talking about guns. But um, my thing is that if you've got a government telling you that they're going to start confiscating, okay, they're not going around going to take people's guns. That's BS. Anybody that's saying that, I think, is a bunch of crap. We're not in a Nazi regime here. What I
no,
think they will do is they will ban the future purchase and shipment into the country of stuff being made outside of the US.
yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm
And they
not
still,
excuse me.
I was going to say that the other thing that I think that they might try banning, and I say they, well, who is they? It's like area man. No, it's they may try banning ammo.
Mhm.
So, you can have whatever gun you want, but you can't get anything to put in it.
They can
Um,
play that game. Yeah.
sure. I mean, we're gonna go down a bumpy road. So
Well,
we'll see.
and it's interesting because I have a friend, I'm not going to name his name. If I can get him on this show, I will, but he hasn't said yes yet.
Okay.
But the reason why I mention him is that he's involved in the music industry, but he also builds pneumatic weapons, which don't take any type of combustible projectile.
Right, right, right.
You
Um,
can use anything in it, provided it doesn't go beyond the diameter of the barrel, right?
sure. Yeah. Well, let's not that it's exactly the same, but there's always alternative thought processes like
Hmm.
type of biodegradable or biodiesel fuels,
Hmm.
some other than or alternative whatevers. And what has occurred over time, ever since man has been, mother is the necessity of invention. So
Hmm.
one thing goes away, something else will reappear, and it might be a like kind, but we'll see what happens. I mean, people are smart, and they're not going to sit back and watch the world melt. They'll find a way to protect themselves.
Yeah, it was a rock. The very, very first one was a rock. It wasn't a handgun. It wasn't an assault weapon. It was a rock.
Right.
And all through the years, it's been whatever's handy and whatever just happens to be there. And, you know, last I heard statistically, and hopefully somebody will, hopefully this podcast will become important enough for people to want to actually write in the comments section that they disagree with something we're saying. I hope for that. But what I'm
Yeah,
going to say it, huh?
some controversy is good, and it, conversation or you know, uh, meeting of the mind sometimes comes at great disagreement, and
Sure.
that's a good thing. I just, I hope it goes in the direction you would like it to go.
Right. And that direction being that people will use whatever tool is at hand.
Sure,
And
weapon.
sure, weapon of opportunity. And I think that statistically, right now, tools in your garage, meaning a hammer, a screwdriver, a scratching owl, things like that, a chainsaw, a higher percentage of killing people with those than there is of people getting killed with guns
Sure. We
because it's opportunity.
we say it all the time. Look, I mean, you can take all the guns away that you want. It's not going to wipe out crime. Something else will manifest itself to take the place of the thing that was removed. So are we going to outlaw plastic straws, forks, knives, plastic knives? I mean, where does the silliness begin or end? We'll see. It's going to be a fun ride.
Well, in some states, they are outlawing all the plastics,
Yes. Well,
and
actually,
which
Tampa Bay
gets me
lots of
because
fun.
this opens up an interesting question, an interesting debate in itself. Because my thing is if you're going to tell everybody they can't use plastic straws, they can't use plastic knives and forks, and all that kind of horse malarkey, why are they allowing Coca-Cola and all those other companies to still sell their drinks in plastic bottles? It's not
Chicken.
my straw that's clogging up the oceans.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, we could create a whole new podcast on the of silliness,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever understand what we're presented with or why. But I'll do my best to just wade through it the best I can and not get too much stuck to me on the other side.
So you guys have named some interesting things. Brian, you named some things in your garage. And I'd love to ask the officer, zombie apocalypse, what's your weapon of choice?
Oh, wow. Geez. I don't know. I mean, I would hope that I would have a lot of C4 on hand, but I've been, the supplies are low. I don't know where to get that stuff. And, so that would probably be the weapon of choice if I just had Dave's World ready to make a purchase. But I don't I'd have to just revert to what's in my safe. And hopefully that holds them off while I escape in my airplane. How about that?
So what all do you have in your safe?
Oh, I told you a few things, but I also keep an AK-47, and it's a Romanian model. So have it's this 7.62 by 54 bolt action Russian gun. It's about 9 feet long. And I actually got it. Believe it or not, it's going to sound hilarious. I don't know if you ever met my stepmother, Brian, but I actually got it from my stepmother. She did more. And she's like, "Would you like to have this thing?" It's like, "Of course I would like to have it." Yes. So closet. I also keep some local BS repellent. I got a Mossberg 500 12 gauge pump. That's just for close quarter weapon for the house as well as the M4. And then I have some stuff that's agency issued, but I've kindly asked to not specify on those.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So, am I well armed? It depends on who you ask. I mean, I got guys right now that are friends of mine that I got one cat. I fly for him part time, and he literally has like the entire upper deck of his house is a giant gun safe. And if it's been manufactured, he's got one. And it's like you walk in there and it's like adult Candyland. And it's like, think of whatever you'd like to imagine. And he's got it. Not only has it, he's got the ammo for it. Like, good God, man. I mean, it's just fun, And he's invited me to come up and go shooting and do some things, and I'd love to. And not that I profess to be good at it. I just it's fun. It's competitive. My wife loves to shoot. She was actually, when I met her, she's from upstate New York, and of course in New York all things are bad, guns bad. And until I took her to the gun range and she figured out that it was competitive. And now, like a bad case of, oh, you suck, watch me group this. And it's just a lot of fun, man. We just have fun with it. Yeah, I don't know. It just weapons of choice. I mean, there's a million things I'd love to have, but then the reality of I just don't make that much money, so I can't buy them all.
Right. Yeah, they've got a new minigun that just came out that, oh boy, that would just be a lot of fun to cut down some trees with. But I'm from upstate New York myself. I was born up there. And the very first firearms I ever fired was up in upstate New York, because it was more farming, more rural there. And my granddaddy had a ranch up there that he raised racing horses on. And so we'd go out to the farm, or the ranch or whatever you want to call it, take out the lever action 22s or the bolt actions and go out there and pop off the rats. Because these rats they're small dog,
Yeah.
And yeah, that or the 12 gauge, take it out there and have a blast with them. And but yeah, it really is. It's all about it's the competition and competition with yourself.
Sure.
Because my biggest thing, and I'm going to be the first one to do this and slap myself on the back and say I've got a God-given talent for shooting. Some people just do, right? But even so, not with handguns. I'm going to say with rifles. I'm going to correct myself. Not with handguns, with rifles. I'm better with rifles than I am with a handgun. That's why I train more with a handgun. Anyway, that all being said, even though having that capability, you still have to test yourself and you have to go, okay, I have to restrain myself from breathing. Because my big thing, and this is the thing that it's personal competition, I have to train myself, okay, finger off the side of the magazine onto the trigger, I'm ready to pull. The finger doesn't touch the trigger until I'm ready to pull, right? And then I go, well, I just blew my shot.
Mhm.
So that's what I got to work on. And that's why I like to go out there and work on it and work on it and work on it. It's just like a painter not getting their strokes right, or an ink master not getting their strokes the same boldness. You know what I mean? It's
And let's
learning.
kind of twist it back to music for just a smidge of a second, and
Sure.
out like when you're first learning how to play an arpeggio, you know, and then you work slowly through it. Then you work on a little bit more speed. And then as you're plucking the note, then you learn how to pull it off as fast as you're plugging it on. Then you learn how to more of a sweep pick technique or something like that. Same with the shooting. You know, you're building a block, you're building a skill. And then there's a lot of techniques out there that can help you in the breathing portion, so that when you go on target and you get ready to deliver what you have to deliver, um, you can go into like I don't know if you've heard it, you probably have, like a combat breathing technique, you know, and it's like, say, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, and you force yourself. And then when you get at the bottom of the exhale, you hesitate, take your shot, and then you get back into the combat breathing sequence. And then that sets you up for your next shot. But having that wherewithal, and not the excitement of it, but being able to deliver when it's necessary and accurately,
Mhm.
you know, the competition of it's fun, and it's learning how to get good at it. We have to qualify, or we do qualify. I think we qualify twice a year. Sometimes it's more, but it's always fun. I always enjoy it. It's usually a half a day out on the range doing what we do, and the various weapons and the things that we have to qualify in, and or if you want to be authorized to carry an off duty weapon, a personal gun, and it's just, I don't know. It's just so much fun. Me and the wife used to love to go shooting all the time, but I quite honestly, since the now ammo prices are rocketing faster than property values,
Mhm.
uh, it's been kind of taking a back seat. But we'd love to get back out and go do some more.
Yeah, it's pretty much become cheaper to take up golfing, hasn't it?
Oh my, but I have pasture pool just don't work for me. But that's it. Yeah, it's different for everybody.
Right.
But always like things that go faster, go bang. So I mean, it's so I get to beat the crap out of the drums, instant gratification. I get to
Uh,
go instant gratification. Get to go shoot stuff, instant gratification. Not that I'm necessarily instant gratification, but it just, I've always gravitated towards stuff that's kind of like in your face and an interactive, and wow. I don't know. It's just always been more fun for me.
that's because you're a drummer.
Yeah, I know. It's I don't know. That whole personal violence thing. I get to beat the crap out of the drums and
Right. Yeah, it's funny because I always look at um, each type of musician has a certain personality thing about them that seems to be consistent with, you know, there's a certain thing about all drummers. There's a certain thing about all singers. There's a certain thing about all bass players. And it's like, and you could just take that label and just lay it right on them, and you could just pick them out of a crowd. Oh, I know that dude's a bass player. Or I know that dude's a drummer. You know what I mean? It's funny
well,
how
I've
it
heard,
works out that way.
oh yeah, never mind. I was going to pick on bass players for just a minute, but it's like, sorry, Candy.
Well, go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Oh no, I was just going to say, yeah, well, the bass players have a cat, but that's another thing. Just a cat. But anyway, I'm sorry. There's a little Dave humor there. But I, it's just, yeah, I agree. I mean, everybody's got their shtick, and sometimes it's an easy read. But musicians are a very curious breed. We've all evolved into different things. I mean, some of us are still doing it.
Mhm.
Some of us are living that got lucky enough to make it a full-time gig for your entire career. Other folks, like myself, have had to morph into something different, and that's okay. We all found our peace with what we did. We all had fun with what we did. Look back at the times we had, like with Arsenal, or any of the compilation LPs or CDs that came out, or any of the other work we did, and how much fun we had with Arsenal and the shows that we played, and wouldn't trade it for the world. Great experience to draw from. Taught me a lot about people.
Mhm.
And that's it. It's been a great ride. A lot of people have asked me over the years, why would you trade? Would you do something different? Not really. I mean, if anything, if I could say it, if I could go back and redo something, maybe start flying sooner. So I could have enjoyed this ride a little bit longer. But I think we all have wanted that. Oh, I wish I could have been playing 30,000 seat arenas every night for the last 20 years. Well, there's that 1% that do, and good for them. And we need them. And they put out great music, and I love listening to all the folks that we've listened to, and it's just been a great ride. I wouldn't change anything, really.
Well, and one thing that I can say, and you'll agree with me, is that having both of us worked in Arsenal at different times, obviously. Well,
Yeah.
and then for a brief period of time, we tried working together, just logistically didn't work out.
Right,
But
right.
all that being said, what we got out of it was almost a 30, 40-year-old family out of the
Yeah,
deal.
but it's ironically funny because it's when in the law enforcement community, and it happens all the time. I'll tell you one quick funny story that happened to me at Florida Fish and Wildlife. Is when they find out that I played in a band, they in their mind they're thinking, I played at Hooters on Sunday afternoon with an acoustic guitar and a hat flipped over while I played, something. They didn't understand. Not that I'm picking on that. That's a wonderful thing, but
Right.
we those guys too. But then I break out the pictures of the drum set and the stage setups and all the absurdities that we transgressed through, and all the silliness that we did and the fun that we had. And then this is the best part, the hair. It's like, wow, where did it go? And hey man, I got old. What can I say? But when I pictures of me with hair down halfway down my back, and they're like, holy crap, that's you. Yeah, that was me. That's what I did.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I keep saying it. It was just a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame, because I mean I'm pretty new at it. And we pretty much talk about this almost on every episode about being either follically challenged or a turning gray and turning loose kind of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, until gosh, 4 years ago, my hair has always been long down to my rear end, at least. And now, yeah, woohoo! And I cut it all off, and I posted a picture on Facebook with Ashley and myself, and we were doing something. I think we were at a restaurant or something. Maybe it was a train. Anyway, regardless, somebody took a picture of us. We posted it on Facebook, and this guy gets on there and goes, "Well, you don't look anything like you used to." It's like, dude, it's time, man. What the? What do you want me to do about it? Turn over the hourglass the other direction?
I've had a couple folks in my life that they struggled with it. They really did. It's like, man, I'm getting older. Well, yeah, dude, we can stop a lot of stuff, but you ain't gonna stop the clock. I, when my hair started getting thin, whatever, man, I don't care. This is me. I honestly, I didn't care. I had long hair when it was the time to have long hair, and when it was time to go, it was gone. I never looked back. Never ever wished I had long hair again. And now, this made me laugh. Somebody said to me, I'll tell you the FWC story in a second here, but they said to me, it's like, have you ever thought about growing your hair out? Yeah. Tell me how.
Right. And then you go, now picture that hair that you had back in the 90s and put it on how you look right now. Would that be becoming?
Oh yeah, it'd be becoming all right. Be becoming kind of ugly. That'd be coming out. But I rode that train for as long as I could ride it. I don't have, it's like I got a number one on left on top, and that's it. Because you know why? Because when I got my head stuffed in a helmet for 8 hours, I don't need long hair. This is all I want anyway. And if I go tomorrow, I don't care. It's not changed the quality of my life 1 ounce.
Right.
It really wouldn't. But one of the things that made me laugh, and I'll make this brief, but it was so funny to me. When I got hired at Florida Fish and Wildlife, I had the most. He turned out to be a very close friend, still a close friend. He was my boss initially, but we had this very long, dark hall that led to our office, and it was basically in the basement of the building we were in downtown Tallahassee. That's where we were stationed, and he went on the internet, being the smartass that he could be, and he found a bunch of Arsenal pictures, and he plasters these pictures all up and down the hall. And at the time, we had a female colonel, which is the equivalent of the sheriff, you know, a division of law enforcement official. The head of the entire agency was a lady named Julie Jones. And anyway, he calls her down there and walks her through the hallway. And she's like, Kevin, why are you showing me all these pictures? Who is this long-haired guy and why is he all over the walls? And then he walks her into his office where I happen to be seated. And he says, well, Colonel, I'd like you to meet our newest pilot. That's his pictures on the wall. And she's like, holy crap, I hope you did a drug screen, you know? Anyway, it was just funny to watch her reaction. And then, of course, it embarrassed the crap out of me because I had not known that he did that. And I'm like, dude, why are you putting my pictures on the wall like that? You know, stop it. But he had fun with it. It was a lot of fun.
It's almost like it reminds you of Lethal Weapon.
Yes, but it was a blast. Well, you know, and then when the folks find out now, we actually had it in our agency now. The public information officer found out about my band days, and she said, hey, well, I want to do a story on you. And I was like, no. It's like, I did that a long time ago. I do this now. Do a story about what we do now. I don't need a story about that, marrying that world and this world together. It really, that's never been about me. I've never been look at me type. You know, I hide behind a drum set. You know, I don't want to be out front. But anyway, so now I hide behind a cockpit night vision goggles. Nobody sees my face. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome what you've got into, you know, because I mean, so many people, and you still see them now, they're still plugging away, trying to chase the carrot that they're not going to get, man. I mean, you know, you might, but I mean, I don't want to be a downer on anybody's gig, you know, obviously, and I don't want to discourage anybody from trying the best they can. But if you've been doing a project, you've been doing one thing for 40 years and nobody's paid attention to you yet, I don't know what else you can do to get them to pay attention to you now.
Well, everybody, you know, it goes back to like that hobby, you know, musicians are a unique breed. We all are. We've all got our good stuff, our bad stuff, our quirks, the things that enable us to work with other people, and the things that keep us from working with other people. But you know, like you said earlier, we've had this family to tie into. You know, I mean, as you well know, I still talk to Christine. I still talk to Jerry regularly. Every once in a while, JD will resurface briefly and then kind of go away. And I talk to Kevin, you know, and we have conversation there, and I still talk with you. And it is a family. It's a camaraderie that can't be eroded. It's a marriage that can never be divorced. You've shared in, we all shared in this amazing thing many years ago, and we had fun with it. If we ever did anything in the future, we would have fun with it. But I don't go under the delusion of the guys that now I'm going to make it big. I'm going to be a writer in Nashville. Well, I couldn't write songs 30 years ago. I probably can't write songs today, but I can probably figure out how to play a drum part to one and then maybe help you arrange a bridge or arrange a chorus or put the whole thing together. But, you know, I'm not going to tell you that what note you need to play because I don't know what note you need to play. But, you know, that's just me being a drummer. I'll go hit stuff. I mean, I don't know.